Good morning. I think it is a good morning wherever you are if you are not in Ukraine. In America, in Canada, in Argentina, in France. In Ukraine, there are no good mornings at all from 24th of February. Millions of people became refugees, thousands are killed, thousands are lying on the streets of Mariupol. And I am one of those millions who are refugees. I'm in the western Ukraine. I'm not far from beautiful Carpathian mountains. And I was happy enough that my family was welcomed by a lady we never met who gave us the key from her small apartment. And she moved herself to a flat with her daughter. So we have a place to stay, and I can write and I can give interviews and I can share the information about what is happening in Ukraine. And what is happening in Ukraine is unthinkable for 21st century. This is the war in the style of Second World War, with cities and towns being bombed, where actually Mariupol is turned into rubbles and there are bodies of children, women and men in these rubbles. Kharkiv is partially destroyed, Akhtirka is destroyed, and all the east and part of the southeast of Ukraine is on fire because the Russians, when they cannot fight Ukrainian army, they are taking revenge on the civil population, on the cities, on the factories, on the infrastructure, leaving people without heating, without electricity, without gas, without food. Even bakery is bombed. My favorite bakery in Makariv near Kiev, the bread that I was buying always when we were staying in the village not far away from Makariv, not only bombed by it, 13 bakers were killed by this explosion and 9 wounded. The next village to ours, Stavishe, was partially destroyed by Russian bombers. I mean, this is a genocide like never before, and probably the first European war in this century. So when you think that this is Ukrainian-Russian war, think twice, because this war will spill out. This war already spilled out with refugees. There are 2 million people from Ukraine in Poland. There are tens of thousands going to Austria, to France. Of course, I mean, they are hard-working people. They will improve your economy. But your economy shouldn't depend on Russia. Germany is just a shameful country now, thinking against the sanctions and still wanting to buy gas. I mean, they should understand that every family in Germany who hits their house with gas is financing this war, is financing the deaths of Ukrainian people. So please help Ukraine, support Ukraine in this war. The question is not only the existence of Ukrainian state. The question is whether Europe will be afraid of newly rebuilt Russian power, or Europe will, in the other case, remain independent and unite. I mean, Europe was already split by Russian special operations, just like NATO probably is partially afraid of Russia, and that's why they are just witnessing what is happening. But thanks God, NATO countries are helping us with arms and ammunition, because I mean, some generals do understand the consequences of this war and consequences of Russian aggression. So please follow what is happening in Ukraine. Think about this. Think about Ukrainians, and if you have Ukrainians around you, help them. Help them. When the war is over, they will come back. They don't want to emigrate. Those who wanted to emigrate, they live already in America, in Israel, in Germany. In fact, 320,000 Ukrainian men came back from abroad to Ukraine to defend the country. And those actually who were fleeing abroad, many of them decided to stay in western Ukraine and not to cross the borders, because they believe that Ukraine will survive. They believe that Ukrainian army will defend the country and they will be able to come back, maybe to the houses which are still intact and maybe to the ruins of their houses and blocks of flats. But then actually all the world should help us to rebuild the country, because the country wants to be free. The country wants to be independent, and the country wants to be as far away from Moscow as possible in order to direct its own future. Thank you very much.